How did the universe begin? First, before the beginning of creation, there was a need, an effect that needed its cause. A creator who needed his felt tip for the tool he had created as his means in which he would create the universe with. Time has no meaning to a being who exists beyond the limitations of observance. To him, he can observe the entire universe, every star, every galaxy, from their beginning to their end of formation. To him, looking at a galaxy holds more than we perceive. He can see the galaxy, its path of motion through the universe, its formation to the point of its erosion into nothingness, as its binding qualities expend themselves, all at one glance. To him, the universe is a giant mural of streaking lights that form into shapes and then into dust as they fade from view. So for him, time is but an aspect that makes no difference to his endeavors, but something he does have to adhere to is cause and effect. All things still must have a beginning and an ending. So how would he go about being this all into being? How would he create something from nothing? After calculating the possible options, he decided the only way to do this successfully would be to create a vessel through which he would work. Someone who would be incorruptible to the possibilities that his power could achieve. Someone who would not become consumed by desire. So he created his vessel with power that was simple in purpose, but his intentions had a much more complex reason than any could fathom. There are two major forces at play when the universe began: gravity and kinetic friction. Gravity was created by opposing particles. This indifference led up to greater amounts of opposing force until it began to generate energy. This energy eventually caused the fusion of the first solid particles, which causes more fusion of more particles until it quickly fell into itself in a massive expansion of fusion that formed the first stellar object of solid matter. For this task, to begin this event and set it into motion, he created a vessel, naturally born with an innate connection and control over the aspect of kinetic energy and its motion. He made him capable of this even before he was born. He designed every aspect of his life carefully and with precision. Everything he thought and experienced was anticipated and planned, all leading him up to that moment when the vessel would meet his maker and told what his purpose for being who he was. However, the aspect of cause and effect, once again, had to play its role. He needed his vessel to choose to begin this endeavor. He needed him to serve his purpose and become the cause behind the inertia. Now to a being who exists beyond the confines of time, and its passage allows him to travel to any point in the universe anywhere, but traveling beyond its boundaries before it began would take something that held the ability to be a cause, the ability to choose one's path to go beyond that path's limits. Then God took his vessel to the edges of the boundaries, and his vessel did exactly as he had designed him capable of doing, and they flew off the roller coaster's tracks and into the void before existence began. The creator was puzzled. He never was able to view beyond the confines of what was, so he had nothing to reference from. He told his vessel this, and his vessel smiled as though he already knew the answer. He said to him that nothing should exist here, and the vessel replied, "No, we are here." He summed up all of the aspects that were involved with the formation of existence, all the required chains of events, and in one single effort brought them all to occur in one moment as he snapped his fingers and said, "Let there be light." The vessel was the inertia of the cause, and God became the aspect of effect as their presence also encompassed the foundations of that inertia. As his vessel gathered the aspects together, space began to form around them, and in a burst of imploded light the first star formed. As they drifted in the limitless space above it, they sat as God asked his vessel what was to come next. But by this point he knew, for he could observe it from where he was, and had many times, but never, understood the entirety of these first beings, one of which was him at the beginning of his own aspect in existence, the vessel. But this vessel would come to be much more than the inertia. Over time, he would develop into what would become him, existing in all points throughout all of the universe, in which he would then exceed even that, reaching his point in this evolutionary journey where he would evolve beyond the fabrics of existence, beyond time, and beyond space, as he himself would become a universe all in itself. So this was the creation of the Word. Looking back, this is a detailed description of the first chapter of Genesis. But there must come a point when the incorruptibility of his vessel must play its part, for though God has a purpose and reason for being, to set the stars into place, begin the cycle of life within the universe, set the boundaries of physics into place to govern the orbits of galaxies and planets into motion, promote social structure and instincts, as well as control over those instincts, so that life can evolve beyond its limits and boundaries, constantly becoming something more, and so thus never falling into decay as all other things do as it evolves along with existence, and fixing any weak points that may need adjusting through the air themselves, that become paradoxes that defy the boundaries of the laws of physics. Through these blurs in existence, God can make the adjustments he needed to make. So, his vessel was brought to him by the death of the body, but now his physical state was needed once again in order to set the adjustments of a finely tuned universe, perfected through trial and error of simulated models of existence. He first tested this by coming to Earth as the Son, incarnating into a mortal vessel, dying as that vessel, and then resurrection that vessel to continue on, achieving his goals and plans even after his death, preparing to return to Earth and wake up from his comatose injury that began this journey just as he planned.
You think this is some joke or trick of the West, don't you, Mr. Putin? You think you've got it all figured out. Do you really want to take the chances, any of you, and be wrong? Think about what that entails as a consequence. I made this world from the dust and rocks of your sun's formation. I developed the life on this world from every bug, fish, lizard, or man that exists here. If I say your world is dying, and that all things have an end, and that time is coming close, then you should take heed, for there is no other who would know better than I would in that of you. Go to, or you will end the life-sustaining cycle here. You think that I do not know of your ties to Hamas and their supply of armed goods. I told you anyone who goes to war before the appointed time will go to war with heaven. I meant it, and to show you all how serious I am, bear witness to what happens next. Israel has tested me for the last time. They above all should know better than to test my patience, so the covenant with my chosen people ends. The time foreseen and told to Daniel has come. Though you, Mr. Putin, may have instigated this out of mockery, it was they who chose to retaliate with war and thus endanger us all to destruction. Humanity is not yet ready to face the repercussions for your deeds yet. They need the time I allotted to them. So this shall be the end of their position as my chosen people, for they have violated the covenant made with Moses. They turn their hearts from me and have forgotten my words to them, even the warnings. So, to them shall I come, like a thief in the night, and take back that which I have sown.